Hi. We have a few cards today that showed up yesterday. Tends to happen that way sometimes. So I will mention that I did a pretty deep share yesterday that people said was really impactful. So if you feel called to go into any more of the energy of what I'm talking about today, that reading is there for you. So our opening card that we have for today is the Two of Swords. The challenge that we're facing today is the Ten of Swords. The way we're going to get through the challenge is the Six of Swords, and the overall outcome that we had for today is the Five of Pentacles, and I pulled an extra card for clarification, and we got the Seven of Swords. So, up in the brain space, what is the arena of the mind? All right. So, and I guess I should say thank you to everyone who has contributed to my fundraiser. I have a fundraiser going on Facebook so that I can get my cards printed, which will also help me fund these daily readings, because I've been contemplating to do daily versus weekly readings because they just take me a lot of time, and I've considered that maybe I should be putting that time toward, earning income or something. But people have given me a lot of feedback that they really do appreciate it, and people have shown up and contributed. That makes a huge difference for me to have that support, especially like in the encouragement of continuing to offer these readings. So if you, for some reason, can't contribute via the fundraiser but would like to via Venmo or PayPal, or I've even had some people get me Amazon gift cards, which is interesting, but it's also appreciated because I need a new mic for my videos, and that will help go towards that. So I appreciate all the support and the contributions, because if you don't know, I started learning tarot and studying tarot as like a little teenager, and I didn't really like the book definitions of cards. They seem to kind of contradict each other. And so I tucked all my cards away. I actually owned like 6 or 7 decks at the age of 14. And I tucked them all away because I was just kind of frustrated with books. And then when I graduated college, I had the opportunity, after I graduated college, I started working at this coffee shop. It was an independent coffee shop that was right down the street from where I lived. And a gentleman came in there regularly, and he would give us free readings for the holiday, for Christmas, or $5, right? That was his gift to us baristas for caffeinating him daily. And he would give me a free reading every Christmas. And I worked at this coffee shop for 5 years, and on like the 3rd year, he asked me if I had any interest in studying the tarot system as a way of self-development. And I was like, sure. And he was like, do you have any interest in drawing the cards? And I said, well, I haven't drawn in a really long time. And he was like, you didn't say no. And that is what began my tarot apprenticeship, of drawing my cards. And after I drew my first deck, it was during that time period that my mom passed away, or was really sick, actually. She hadn't passed away yet. But I went out to Michigan, where she grew up, to visit her and share some time with her. And my uncle, who I hadn't seen in a number of years, asked me to see my cards. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, your tarot cards. I heard you're drawing tarot cards. And I was like, that's so weird. How do you even know about that? And then he told me my grandfather read cards, and he read them with a regular playing deck. And my grandfather was taught by his aunt who raised him. So after I drew my first deck of cards, I learned that I was a 3rd generation reader. And so it's really touching to see how the universe has like woven this path for me and stitched it back to me through my ancestors. And so I just have an immense amount of gratitude to everyone who's contributing to my printing of these cards, and also to people who comment and support and share and confirm that this is a worthwhile effort for me to do for the world. So thank you. I appreciate you. All right. So I know I am a little teary cat, but that's okay. That's what happens when emotions move through their body. They're like currents of water, and they just move. That's okay. They just move. We don't have to try to force them into a container or stack them away. We just let them move, and it's okay. The opening card that we have for today is the Two of Swords. As I said, so we're in this place where we're actually starting to consider things beyond just what the outer realm tells us about a situation, right? There's this dualistic flavor to this card because there's two swords, right? If we have one sword, we have clarity. If we have a second sword, it's which one is the one that I should believe in? And she's holding them to her chest because she's really trying to measure the value of how she's thinking about things. And she being our receptive nature, even if you're male, even if you're female, even if you're non-gendered specific, this is our receptive nature depicted by the feminine person in this card. So how do we receive information? How do we take it into ourselves? And really taking a measure inwardly of how putting your attention on those impressions land on us. The challenge that we're facing today is the 10 of Swords. So we have a lot of swords today, right? There's 5 cards, 4 of them are swords. So it's all about how we're thinking about things, conversations that we're replaying, ideas that we have around things. And our challenge showing up as the 10 of Swords is this crystallized idea of how things are. This is someone who doesn't realize that they can be their own worst enemy by what they're putting their attention on. And consider the word attention when you break it down. Attention is a tension that can build in the body if we focus on something that energetically is tense and tightening. And this creates a block in our energetic system and also in our ability to go out into the world, right? This person has their whole moving center immobilized and paralyzed by thought. And so that's what we're working with. How is our will affected by how we think about things, how we see things? And if we can actually see it and take a couple steps away from it and not beat ourselves up over it, we can acknowledge it and be oh, this is what I do when this happens. And maybe let's try something different. Right? And so the way that we're going to get through this kind of crystallized way of seeing the world and seeing things is the 6 of Swords. So we see that these people are moving away from a turbulent situation and into calmer waters, right? But they don't have 10 swords in their boat anymore. They only have 6. So it's we have to drop off some of those swords, right? We have to be willing to acknowledge that some of the ways that we're looking at things aren't actually serving us. And consider that the ultimate outcome of the day is this combination of the 5 of Pentacles and the 7 of Swords, right? So the 5 of Pentacles is this person who has these people, right? Both aspects of the nature. You can see them in the foreground. They look like they've gone through quite a bit. And there's this stained glass window behind them. And so it's this sense of valuation around an experience and how we value it as a huge loss, or if we value it as this situation that gave us perspective, right? And consider that we also have this 7 of Swords coming in for today. And these two together are bringing up for me that we have to acknowledge how we see things aren't really helping us in our lives. And we have to decide, what is actually have a sober look at the fact that this is just life. This is an experience. It's not, that we did something wrong. It's not that we didn't plan correctly, because, everything that's shifted and changed in the last 2 years, there was no way of actually like planning for it, right? We had a sense of stability in our lives and everything got shifted. And that's because of the transits that have happened with the planetary bodies in our whole system, right? We're all undergoing this change. It's not anything personal. And so we have to acknowledge that this is an experience. Take from it what you will. Take from it what serves you rather than what beats you up, right? Because this is someone that's like, yeah, okay, I learned this from this situation and I'm going to take what I learned with me. And they're walking away from like the black and white, the duality, the dualisticness of like good or bad, right? Like this experience sucked. This experience was great. Well, there's balance in everything. And so it's really just an experience. Life is an experience. It's a journey. We go through some valleys that are very dark and desolate. We go through some peaks and mountains that are beautiful and expansive. And all of it is just terrain that we pass through. And what do we take with us? What do we gather from it? What visions do we see that are truly beautiful and awe-inspiring? And can we speak to that instead of everything that's just wrong with the world? Because there's still a lot of beauty out there. And I think we're just focusing on the wrong things. So we're all in a huge spiritual awakening right now. And I think the waters are moving through us all. So let those waters break up any, deposits and barnacles and thoughts and, rocky, frictionous substances that have been stored away inside your being, because it's time to let it flow. Kind of like opening up, the faucet on a sink in a house that hasn't ran water in a long time. It's going to come out muddy for a little bit. It's going to be discolored. It's going to have to run for a little while before it runs clear. So it's okay if the faucet gets turned on every once in a while, right? It just moves things through. So I think we are really doing ourselves a disservice when we consider that showing any kind of emotion is a weakness, because my feedback that I've gotten from every single person, with the exception of like a very small percentage, is that my vulnerability shows a strength. And so anyone that's told me that it was a weakness is like keeping me from being who I am and not showing up. And I'm here to show up just like you. I send you a lot of love, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.